Even with slavery being over, African Americans are still chained to the idea that they are less than or inferior to other races. Many people believe that blacks are criminals or bad people, but this needs to be turned into an idea that they can be beautiful, intelligent, and hardworking, just like everyone else, or else this group of people will continue to be one below. As some of you know, my father came from Nigeria, but what most of you don't know is that he faced immense oppression and racism. Even with the racism he faced to get into college, he went on to go to multiple and finally became a pharmacist. When he finally got out of pharmacy school, it took him years to find a job because so many people didn't want a black employee. Even when he did find a job, they made him work in the back for a lower salary because they claimed they could replace him with someone cheaper. Someone with more education than many people in America, even today, couldn't help others because of the idea that blacks were an impairment to business. Once I heard this story, I realized what it meant to be black and what people think is wrong with that, but I realized blacks are just like everyone else, not criminals. We need to realize that blacks can be as beautiful, intelligent, and hardworking, just like everyone else. I referenced the past just now, but I want to show you how these thoughts about blacks are still around today. Blacks suffer from a view that all they can be is someone in a jail cell or in a subservient position. Many people think, when you think of black people, you usually think of someone being arrested or in some other negative light. The large majority of us don't tend to think of someone in white coats or suits or any management positions. Because we have strongly held this idea that blacks can only be the simple servants that they were forced to be hundreds of years ago. This criminal label distorts how we think of African Americans and how they can live within society. If we continue to think this way, we will never have a fair balance of blacks in executive suites, management positions, or any leadership positions at all. People love to think that they are better than. They see that some blacks are incarcerated, so they decide to apply this view upon all people and fail to give them a second chance or sometimes even a first. But why do people continue to believe that blacks are criminals? I believe it's because of the poverty that African Americans face. As stateofworkingamerica.org reports, blacks have the highest percentage at 28% of people under the poverty line. So people believe that blacks will do anything and everything to get money and get by. Even though the NAACP reports that African Americans only make up 34% of the prison population. Many people have this stereotype that blacks are inherently criminalistic, and this is just wrong. Not only does it shut out the intelligence and capabilities of a whole population of people, it makes them feel inferior as if they aren't included in society. We can see this view of criminalizing African Americans is unhealthy, and we need to realize that they are equal and treat them as such. African Americans are not criminals. They're human beings just like you. We need to change our view on them and see how they can be as beautiful, intelligent, and hardworking, just like everyone else. We are capable of doing other things than criminal activity. Just because some blacks go to jail doesn't mean we all will. This view is unfair and simply oblivious to the fact that we can be much more than criminals. We need to start to change our view on blacks so they can prosper in society and begin to remedy the divide that exists between races. This change of view, while small, can have a huge domino effect. Showing empathy towards a person of color, can resonate a feeling of inclusiveness and begin to wipe away the feelings of inferiority and subordination. This would allow for the stigma associated with black men to deteriorate as it should. This view sadly stuck with us even with slavery being abolished. And the social norm at that time stuck, but it still impacts the psyche of black men today. But slavery is in the past, just like this thinking of blacks should be. If we can all try to change our view on African Americans, we'll see a greater integration of African Americans in society and the ability for them to thrive where they're usually extremely limited. So imagine working in the back of a store because you were told you weren't worth being seen by customers. And on top of that, having your salary cut in half because they knew they can mistreat you due to the color of your skin. We should suspend judgment and learn what it is like for these African Americans to live within society, and instead of being ignorant of the constraints surrounding them. And we should treat everyone equal. We need to judge others on the content of their character, not their race. If a man came from Nigeria with 2 bags and later on successfully put 8 kids through college, it proves we can be as beautiful, intelligent, and hardworking, just like everyone else.